Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to the Dirt Sheet Radio. I guess it's not a post-show rewind. My goodness, I'm completely. You know what happens? It's that rote thing. This isn't a post-show rewind. This is CJ and Tyler's Level Up Adventure.
Honestly, it's better than a post-show rewind because we just get to talk anything about NXT.
That's right. That's right. We are not shackled by what just occurred this week in NXT program. I mean, we get to do whatever we want. And, of course, so I am Tyler, the pro wrestling hipster here, joined, of course, with...
CJ, I'm the CJ part of CJ and Tyler's Level Up Adventure. Sans camera this week because my set is all cluttered and I'm back home. My work contract is done, so you'll start seeing my Lego and title belts in the background on stream again.
Excellent. Yeah, CJ, safe home, back again. The summer coming to an end. It is September 1st, the Burr months are upon us, and a lot of excitement abounds for that, but hey, you know what?
You in particular being excited for the spooky season.
Yeah, you can't see it. He's off camera right now, but Sam from Trick or Treat is sitting in the corner with a pumpkin staring me down right now. It has scared me a couple times late in the night, but I'm getting used to him being there, But, the folks aren't tuning in right now live or watching on demand to hear about my spooky obsessions. No. They're here to talk about professional wrestling and talk about NXT Level Up. But before we can even get into the proceedings, I do have to give that shout out to our partner out on the web, comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio, for all of your professional wrestling, pop culture, entertainment, comic book needs, everything all in one place. Make it your homepage. Check it out multiple times a day, just like we do. Not because we're legally obligated to do so, but because we love doing it. And folks, while you're there, check out our sponsor, NordVPN, where if you sign up for one full year of NordVPN service, you'll get 72% off that first month. Huge savings, astronomical. Go do it. Not right this second. Wait till after the show, and then you can go do that. I'm not good at multitasking myself, so I, ask you to refrain.
Well, I mean, if people are good at multitasking, then I guess they can be allowed to go sign up for NordVPN. So tell you what, if you're able to not get distracted long enough to sign up for NordVPN, you don't have to wait until after the show. You can go do it now.
Yeah, exactly. But y'all, we're here to talk about NXT Level Up, where we are going to run down the goings-on down to developmental. Now, interesting trend. We missed the last few weeks. Again, apologies out there, guys. Life has just been lifing at everyone pretty hard the last few weeks, so we've been a bit preoccupied, bit busy. But we are back. And interesting trend. The last few weeks on Level Up, it's been 2 matches as opposed to the 3 they had been running. So I don't know if that's something that they're going to continue doing going forward. But it does make for a slightly shorter show. I think it was about 10:22 when they went off the air Friday night. But that is a little bit interesting. We only have 2 matches that we'll be discussing tonight before we get into our NXT Deep Dive. And the first match we'll be talking about tonight was some tag team action. Hank and Tank taking on the team of Uriah Connors and Kale Dixon, the follically gifted Kale Dixon, as was said on commentary tonight. Pretty solid work here. Hank and Tank pick up the win in just about 6 minutes there. Good solid tag team action. Pretty much what you'd expect from Hank and Tank. I really think Hank and Tank, they need to be moved up to NXT proper regularly here. They've got a good act. They've got, I don't even say a great foundation. They're just damn good in the ring for what they're doing. They've got, kind of the callback to, the Public Enemy, and it's great. And they need to be moved up. They're ready to roll up to the NXT prop.
Well, and they have started to get a little bit more time on Tuesdays, lately anyways. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that trend continues. I think they have a match against OTM this week.
Yes, yeah. So definitely trending up for them, but they look great here. There was a spot in particular I really, really dug. It was Hank getting tossed into the corner, and Tank threw himself over the turnbuckle, so Hank rolled up him as opposed to hitting the turnbuckle, and commentary pointed out that the impact was lessened due to Tank's girth, we'll say.
It was definitely a lot of fun. Hank and Tank, just to see them do their thing is always entertaining. They look like they have so much fun. How do we feel about Connors and Dixon as a team? Like, are they, you think they're just a one and done sort of team?
I think Connors is kind of like on the hunt for someone to kind of make him look good, more or less. You know, he's not getting wins either right now, and he's had a few different tag partners, and you know, Kale at least was heel. You know, when he was trying to hang out with Dion Lennox, it didn't work out because obviously there was going to be a conflict of interest between a good guy and a bad guy there. But I don't think that this team's going to go past Friday night for them, especially considering that Kale took the loss. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Uriah this coming Friday night flat out blaming Kale Dixon for that loss and maybe having a match with him. But yeah, it just seems that Uriah can't really make any friends and really can't find a partner that can help him get that W he's so anxiously searching for. But that being said, though, like I think Kale Dixon's how do I say this? He is charismatic, but like I feel like it's a little more than that because it's not like he got any mic time or anything here, but like he just captures your attention just flat out walking to the ring. I think I said that a couple weeks ago as well when we were talking about him, that I felt like he showed more not more ring presence, but more just energy and character walking to the ring than he did in the interview segment he had prior to that match a few weeks ago. But like, and same thing with Uriah Connors. I think he's good too. I don't know. It's they are definitely at level up. They are trying things a little more willy-nilly than I guess they would on NXT proper.
And I mean, we've said that about the relationship between NXT proper and the main roster as well. So it's good that they have that sort of freedom to just see what sticks, whether it's a gimmick or a new team. It shows that they're at least trying something to get these guys on TV that they have faith in.
Yeah. And I mean, especially with someone like Uriah Connors, obviously, he's got talent. He's, there for that reason, but he's also a fourth generation wrestler. Like they've clearly got, plans for someone like that. And they're going to try a little harder generally with your generational talent. I mean, look at Ava on NXT.
Yeah, look at guys like Von Wagner. Oh, too soon.
Oh, he's somewhere right now fighting children. For us.
That's the only thing that gets me through hard days is knowing that Von Wagner is off punching some 6-year-old in the face.
It's the opposite of El Generico. When El Generico walked away from professional wrestling, he went back to Mexico to oversee an orphanage and help children, and Von Wagner's just doing the opposite.
Could you imagine if that's how they decided to bring El Generico to NXT? They just had Von Wagner go to Mexico and burn down an orphanage.
Oh my God! It writes itself. It really does. It really, really does. Oh goodness. But yeah. Solid opening match. Like I said, went just about 6 minutes, so pretty normal kind of run for an NXT level up match. And as I say every time Hank and Tank gets TV time, I'm so happy when Hank and Tank get TV time. I love Hank and Tank. So I see a great future for Hank and Tank in the tag division. I really do.
Well, I mean, we say that for like a good number of NXT talent where it's like, oh, they're doing so well. The sky's the limit kind of thing. And it's like, When was the last time we saw Ilya Dragunov on TV? Like, Dijak got drafted and then fired. Like, I don't want to cast any sort of negative predictions on Hank and Tank, but I mean, the sky is the limit. But at the same time, only if the people
guys determined
are handing them out to the right people.
Yeah, I choose to remain optimistic. The world of NXT is much more optimistic than the main roster in general, I feel, which is probably one of the things I really love about, NXT and covering NXT and Level Up is just that it really is like the future is there. It's all open and wide in front of you for that. And that, as a wrestling fan, I really enjoy because, goddamn, if there's not a lot of negativity in this community.
Oh, so much.
So like, I think that's one of the things I really love about NXT. It allows me to be a little more optimistic when it comes to the viewings on wrestling. But speaking of optimistic, from that first match, we went to a quick backstage segment with Cutler James approaching Gallus. And God, Cutler James very optimistic, looking for that first big win, and he was talking about having wrestled, and lost to Mark Coffey a couple weeks ago. Hey, Randy, lost to Mark Coffey a couple weeks ago, and he was, saying that he wanted to tangle with Gallus again, and they kind of laughed at him a good bit here, but hey, he wanted to wrestle Mark again. But Wolfgang said, if you can beat me tonight, you can have Mark again next week. And that's set up for our main event that we'll be talking about here in just a moment. But before the main event took place, we had Uriah Connors speaking to the unnamed, unshown interviewer that seems to just be walking around with the camera backstage at the Performance Center. But he was approached by them, and as he was talking back to the camera from these two gentlemen, he was again approached by the two mystery men that have been talking with him over the last few weeks regarding whether or not he would like their help in achieving his goals. So still no real bead on who these guys are. We got a little bit of glimpse here from the side. It looked like one of them was a white dude, one was a black dude, but it's still really hard to tell.
Well, we were talking before we went live, and speculation on the guys' identities. We talked about the one. Who did you think the other might be?
I think one may be Cedric Alexander. Because it looked, I thought I caught his kind of like the shape of his beard and like his hair, like in kind of the up corner shot. But again, it's hard to say. And I honestly have no clue for the other guy. I really don't. I don't know. With me thinking one of them could be Cedric, that does kind of suggest that it might be someone that we have seen on NXT before, maybe being reintroduced, or it could be somebody completely new.
With Level Up, you really run the risk of someone they've never seen before.
Yeah, exactly. So it could be completely new. But again, it's one of those things that the future will unfold that. And I have to applaud the slow burn storytelling, even on Level Up. This is like across the board for the company. They're not rushing these angles and these plot lines. They're giving it time to kind of come together and build. And hell, in the case with this, maybe they started it with two different people as his heavies and don't really know how it's going to end.
That's entirely possible too, because we've seen that plenty of times before. You mentioned how Level Up is part of the, like, they're doing the long-term storytelling same as everybody else. The thing that I wish everybody else would also do that Level Up is doing is going back to those show video introductions. Like, I miss those for Raw and SmackDown, and even and even NXT proper. It was something that when Triple H took over, I was really hoping we were going to see those come back.
Yeah,
they haven't, except for Level Up.
But yeah, so let's get that back on the main show. It's a great tool that they could absolutely be utilizing much more.
It gets you just so much more hyped up.
I agree wholeheartedly. But we were going to move on to the main event from this week's Level Up. We featured Wolfgang taking on Cutler James, one-on-one, and truly one-on-one. When Wolfgang was making his way to the ring tonight, he kind of told the rest of Gallus to head on back, which I kind of read as Wolfgang being like, look, I don't even need y'all out here to handle Cutler James Cutler, whatever your name is. Mr. White Picket Fence. You're very tall, Cutler. You're very tall. But good match. Again, what you expect here, I would assume that Wolfgang was the one calling the spots here. Went just about 5 minutes and 45 seconds before Wolfgang was able to defeat Cutler James and pick up the win here tonight. Cutler still can't find that victory, but good, solid ring work from both men. Again, I think Cutler James will get that win. It just keeps just coming up just a little bit short.
Well, and I wonder if this is still going to lead to something with Gallus. Like, if he was insistent that he wanted to beat um Mark or Joe Coffey again, but had to face Wolfgang instead, maybe this is where they say, all right, well, now you're going to go 3 for 3 against Gallus next week.
Yeah, very well could be. And I'd be fine with that. Again, it's that, incremental long-term storytelling. I like that. It gives him something to do and 3 great wrestlers to work with. And that's what a big part of this is too, is, working with opponents that you're going to be able to learn something from. And absolutely, those are definitely guys that you can learn a lot from.
Oh, 100%. And like in a variety of things you can learn, like learning from Joe Coffey 1 week versus Wolfgang this week. Like it's what NXT was really supposed to be, just learning a bunch of different things from a bunch of different people that you can use and pass on.
Yeah, and I think that was, and we've never really talked about this a lot, but I think a large part of the rejection is going to be the word I'm going to use of NXT 2.0 when the rebrand first happened, is that it really went back to being a developmental brand at that point, and it stopped being the work rate show that it had become under Triple H, and I think that was the big reason a lot of people rejected it. They'd kind of forgotten what NXT was actually supposed to be.
Well, and I mean, the definition of what NXT was supposed to be always feels kind of subjective depending on who you're talking to, because like when NXT started out after the game show years, it was it very much came across to me anyways like it was the developmental. Like, this was the chance where you get to see the stars of tomorrow today,
right?
And going to NXT 2.0 and going back to those developmental roots, it felt natural to me. And even with this 3.0, we've seen a much better balance than we had before, and I think that's a large part of where the success of this 3.0 is coming from. Like, you get the experienced main event star or main roster stars that come down every so often. You get the independent big names that still want to come to NXT to make it a brand worth watching. And then you still get the stars of tomorrow that are learning how to be wrestlers. So it's a really nice melting pot of sorts.
Absolutely. It's and again, we talk a lot about all the different things about NXT that just makes us love it so much, and why we enjoy getting to cover it in particular. It's just on the long list of reasons, and it's wonderful. It really is NXT is a magical place, CJ. It really is.
It really is.
It really is. But hey, so that kind of takes us up to the end of Level Up. So real quick here, before we get into today's deep dive, we have to talk about the star pupils and remedial students. So, we are going to real quick here talk about this week's remedial student for NXT Level Up. It's gotten, we talk about this on NXT proper. Some weeks it's really hard to find that jobber of the night. And, on the remedial student side here, I really just have to do it, I guess, based strictly more off of the kayfabe stance this evening and give it to Cutler James because he just can't get that win. And that's really it. It's just more story objective. I think this week, nobody really fell short for the role that they were trying to play. Everybody, I think came to or above the expected level of performance for what Level Up is. And I really have a hard time picking a remedial student. So if I kayfabe, but I guess, Cutler, you keep losing, do better. But otherwise, I really don't have a true remedial student this week.
Well, I was kind of thinking the same thing, but mine was gonna be Kale Dixon. And it's kind of more because the same story, but it feels like it's been going on for longer. I didn't real, like, I get why they had him losing. So
Hi,
I think you were
Amelia.
talking. I think you were talking when I put her comment up the first time.
Oh, I might have been.
Yeah, but that's okay. The he just hasn't really been able to get started as well. And if he's kind of jumping into what we're envisioning as a failed tag team with Uriah Connors, that's not really beneficial for him either. So, and
That's true.
especially like knowing that they still have something cooking with Connors, with the people that are approaching him. We know something's happening with Hank and Tank on NXT proper. So Kale Dixon's the only guy in this match that feels like
He's
he's
got nowhere to
the
go.
odd man out.
Yeah.
So that's why he's my remedial student for the day.
And that's a fair perspective. I didn't really even consider that he really is like I even said, like with my projected thought of where they're heading with this, he's going to lose a match to Uriah Connors probably next week or the week after.
I imagine.
Yeah, so that's fair. But his time will come, right? I think he's got a cool charisma. And by cool charisma, I mean a very like douchebaggy charisma.
He's got personality for sure. And I think I said it the last time he was on Level Up, was it feels like his in-ring style and gear kind of leads me to think he'd be better as a face right now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, if they're gonna push him as a heel, then they're gonna have to kind of grit him up a little bit.
Yeah. He's a little too flashy, I think, for the style. I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah.
But all right, well, that is going to take us from I guess the shortcomings to the exceeding of expectations. And tonight's NXT Level Up Star Pupil of the Week. I'm probably not alone in this, CJ, but I'm gonna say Hank and Tank, man. It's Hank and Tank all the way this week for me.
I mean, it's one of those, you're reading my mind, but at the same time, we talk about how good Hank and Tank are on a weekly basis. Like, can you really be surprised?
No, it's all about Hank and Tank. Actually,
you know what? I'm gonna give it to Wolfgang this week, just for the sake of being different. We talk about how good Gallus is, and we talk about how much they bring to NXT and NXT Level Up. Like, it would be wrong to say that Wolfgang is not star pupil material.
I agree completely. I mean, God, what was 20 years, right? Like, he's been
At
wrestling,
least.
and yeah, like, I mean, he's a well-traveled veteran of the ring, which again is another thing that makes him so valuable for them to have him there.
So the other thing, since we're talking about Gallus, the news kind of has started churning this week that NXT Europe is stalled out and not likely to actually end up launching. First off, what do we think about that as like an overarching thing for NXT? But two, specifically what it means for the NXT UK guys that came over to the US. Are we worried that we're going to see another Black Wednesday?
I don't think it would get that bad. I don't think it would be like that large of a wave of release, but I choose to lean optimistic. It's it's unfortunate that it's stalling out this way. It does mean that we'll probably have a little less things to cover going forward. We've talked about having to expand again, but with I'm not overly concerned. I think there's a lot of professional wrestling content out there, and sometimes slowing an expansion could be for the best of everyone involved. But that being said, on that flip side, that being stalled out means that's, one less place that we had planned for people to, try to, make that impact and be seen.
So even just like in terms of it's like not slowing the expansion, like if you're erring on the side of caution and saying NXT Europe is still coming, and I'm leaning on the side of what's being reported and saying NXT Europe just isn't happening at all. Like that's I don't know where I was going with that, but it was yeah. Sorry, my brain just decided to shut down mid-sentence. So the time zones from like my travel day was yesterday, and I went from West Coast to 2 hours after, and I was still up at like 4 a.m. this morning trying to sleep. So
Part of that candle is too many ends, man. It's too many. But hopefully
there's only so many ends you can burn a candle at without tacking on some more wax and adding another end to burn.
There, oh man. But yeah, I would like for them to get that up and rolling, but I'm not super duper concerned if it's stalled out for a while longer. I don't think it's gonna slow down the influx of European-based talent. I think that the groundwork for those channels leading into developmental and WWE, those are all there. I don't think that's really going to be disrupted, and I think that's one of the big things about having something like NXT UK there. But those channels are there even if there's not a show or anything. You know what I mean? They're scouts. They're paying attention. They're watching. It's a different environment than it used to be.
I agree.
But guys, that's NXT level up. Now, we typically would do a deep dive topic, something that's a little more topical, I guess. But today, since this is the afternoon leading into No Mercy this evening, live from Denver, Colorado, CJ and I decided that we will run down the No Mercy card and give our official predictions and preview for tonight's event. CJ, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to make the post show tonight, correct?
Thanks for the reminder.
Well, I'm not reminding you. I'm telling the folks at home.
I know.
They don't tune in expecting to see you and get hella disappointed when it's just me.
Well, to be fair, though, I would only miss NXT pay-per-views for good reason, and I work with dogs, so best reason in the world.
One of the best reasons ever. Can't argue with that. All right, but CJ, let's hop into tonight's card. We have 6 matches on the docket, and I'm just going to run these through the way that I have them sitting in the computer system here.
Even just before we jump into that, talking in the pre-production meeting after, and the fact that No Mercy is a bigger card than yesterday's Bash in Berlin, it's hilarious to me. It really is.
Hey, both Triple H and HBK are cooking. It's just, Sean wants to make a slightly larger. He's from Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Even when the card is in Denver.
Yes, look, it works. All right, it works. Oh god, but it is. Yeah, 5 matches yesterday, 6 matches tonight. The pre-show begins at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. The show proper will begin at 7. Which is fantastic. I love that. So it should be a pretty tight 3-hour-ish show tonight. So looking forward to that.
Wait, hang on. 8 Eastern is when the show starts?
7
Eastern is when the show starts?
Mm-hmm.
So that... Oh, wait, you're an hour ahead. I'm still, doing the math wrong in my head. I'm thinking, you're ahead of me, but I'm doing the math like I'm ahead of you. So I'm thinking I could still I could definitely make it after work. No, I can't.
Yeah, 7 Eastern. I think, interestingly enough, I want to say their last PLE, I think Heatwave started at 6 for some reason.
I can't remember that far back. It
I remember
was
that right,
more
but
than a week ago.
yeah, right. It all starts to no, don't say that. That's just proving Vince McMahon right. Damn it.
That WWE fans have no short-term memory.
Yeah. Vince, 6 weeks. It happened 6 weeks ago. Nobody remembers.
That's the problem. My long-term memory is awesome. My short-term memory is the shits.
Like you can recall things that happened at WWE live events from like 2005.
When I was a kid watching Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, yes, I call it Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone because I'm not American. Fuck you. There were I still remember sitting in the theater, and I remember the exact moment in the movie that I ran out of popcorn.
That's see, but we can't remember.
But God forbid I can't remember what I had for dinner on Thursday.
That's
like
because you're
this
living in
past
so many
week.
time zones. You're basically a time traveler. I can imagine that causes some sort of like cognitive dissonance, you know?
I'm not actually in my 30s. I'm so much older because of all the time traveling I've been doing.
Yeah. But if you're traveling at high rates of speed regularly in a plane, you'd technically be aging slightly slower than the rest of us.
Well, that's what I mean. Like I'm actually in my 50s.
I see. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so relativity, y'all. Relativity. But that's, I don't know, people are here to talk about physics.
We'll have to get Neil deGrasse Tyson on to talk wrestling one of these days.
There we go. Oh, that'd be great. He's a New Yorker, right? He probably watched WWF back in his youth, I would imagine. But,
the man the gravity forgot talking to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like the possibilities here are just endless.
Absolutely are. Oh gosh. All right, folks. So let's hop into tonight's card headlong. First up, again, I don't know if this is going to be the match order. I'm just kind of running it the way I have it in here. But we have Wes Lee taking on the new TNA X Division champion.
Good for him, by the way. On that.
Yeah. But Zachary Wentz and Wes Lee one-on-one. I sincerely assume that Zach will be wearing that title to the ring tonight. But yeah, so where are you coming down on this one, CJ? Wentz and Lee. Lee recently having turned heel quite viciously. And Zach Wentz giving what I think was probably the greatest promo of his professional wrestling career this past Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. And definitely like that promo in particular. I wish, like, I know we were just going from left to right, top to bottom, but I wish this match wasn't first so that we could talk about it later. But I mean, it is, so we're gonna do it. I'm really looking forward to this match. Like I was invested before the promo. The promo got me so much more into it. And now that Zachary Wentz is the X Division champion, like the title's not going to be on the line tonight. They're not going to try and shoehorn it in on a day's notice. Right. So I imagine that will play into their feud after tonight. If Wes Lee is able to get the win over Zachary Wentz, they'll have the angle of, well, that'll set him up for an X Division title match. And, maybe that is the first instance where we see someone from one company holding the other company's title. We talk about like a TNA star holding NXT gold. I think this might, other than the open challenge for the Knockouts title that Tatum Paxley answered, I think this is the first time that we might see, and Riley Osborne was in the X Division or the Ultimate X match at Emergence 2, but like the first serious title contender from WWE after a TNA title. So I think as far as tonight goes, Wes will win in order to set up future story down the road.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Wes gets the win here tonight. It's going to be a vicious win, though. One of my regrets on this is I felt like this is the one match on the card that should have had some kind of stipulation to it.
Yeah, I can see that. And I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for Bash at Berlin, this would have made a great strap match.
Yeah, absolutely. But that being said, so and maybe that's part of it too. You know, if they've got more planned for the future here, and I like you believe that they do, I can see this. You know, we're gonna get a straightforward one-on-one professional wrestling contest, and you know, when they run it back, it'll get a little more aggressive and a little more violent, a little more serious as it goes on. But I am also with you, CJ. I think again, Wesley picks up the win here tonight. Good. It's gonna be a good match. I think they're gonna give them. I'm hoping they get 15-ish minutes or so to really get going in there, and it'll be good. It'll be good.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, so moving on from Wes and Zach, we have the NXT Tag Team Championships on the line. Chase Hughes, Andre Chase, and Ridge Holland will be taking on. No one else is calling them Fraxium, but Nathan Fraser and Axiom. Getting, I'm not even going to say it's getting their return match. I don't think rematches are really a thing for titles any longer. But they fought their way back to getting this title opportunity. And I don't see Nathan Fraser and Axiom picking the titles back up here. I think Holland and Andre retain the belts, but I do think we will see a little bit more of the underhanded leanings of Ridge Holland. I think he's going to go to a slightly, darker place here tonight to retain those belts.
Based on what?
Oh, I don't know if you muted out. I can't hear you, man.
No. I was asking based on what? Like, what made you think that Ridge Holland's going to be underhanded?
He's gone too long without doing anything that devious. I can't remember who was it on commentary a couple weeks ago was going through the whole it's a scorpion on the frog. It might have been Booker T. It feels like Booker T in my head.
Yeah, probably was.
But I feel like it's that, man. A snake's gonna bite you. He's gonna do something to get things are going.
We said the same thing about Duke Hudson, though.
Well, I still think there's something there. But hold on. Here's my thing on Rich. He's getting everything he wants, right? He's got the acceptance. He's got the gold. He's got that feeling of family. And he doesn't want to lose that. And I think he's going to kind of tie those tag titles into why that acceptance has occurred. And he's going to keep those by any means necessary. Hell, he has said shit like that multiple times. But for that reason, I think he's going to be willing to do something a little more. I'm not saying completely vicious, just something slightly maybe putting someone's foot on the ropes or
grabbing the tights.
Grabbing the tights, something like that. Something where it's not a kick to the dick or brass knuckles or anything like that.
You're not cheating. You're just bending the rules a little.
Exactly. It's not a break. It's a bend. So something along that line. So it's kind of what I had in mind.
Okay. I actually thought this was going to be where we see the breakup of Axiom and Nathan Fraser.
You think a big miscommunication type of thing, or?
Well, I think something in the match will lead to them losing. It won't be just a it won't be as clean a finish as a normal 1-on-1,
right?
Or in this case 2-on-2. And then I think after the match we're gonna see the breakup.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, and they've slow plotted that story, and I agree with you. I think tonight is likely the night for that split to officially take place.
You think it's gonna be dependent on who takes the pin, or do you think it's going to be this person turning on that person?
I'm thinking whoever takes the pin gets turned on. I mean, that's kind of the obvious way to do it, but there's nothing wrong with going the obvious route.
Yeah. Well, and I think if they do Fraser turning on Axiom, that there might be a little bit more that they could do with that. And especially like between the two, I would hazard a guess to say that Fraser's heel work might be a little bit more, I don't want to say likely or consistent, but like he feels like a more believable heel to me than Axiom would be.
Is part of it the mask? Knowing that he's not going to be like Axiom wouldn't be able to like angrily emote in that way.
I think part of it could be that. I think part of it could be with Fraser being trained by Seth Rollins and knowing how devious a heel Seth Rollins can be. I'm sure Fraser would have picked up more than a couple tips and tricks.
Yeah. That makes complete sense. So that's kind of in line with your prediction. You think that when the split occurs tonight, it will be Fraser going heel.
Yes. Chase U's going to pick up the win, and Axiom and Fraser will be no more.
All right. I agree with that. All right. So moving from one title match to another title match, the Women's North American title at stake. Kalani Jordan defending her championship against Wendy Choo, still in that realm of the nightmare. Choo has been chasing her for weeks. As we saw this past week, sending Rosemary after her. Very, very cool. This is one of the matches on the card tonight, CJ, that I've been a little more torn on who I feel will win. I don't know that there's a hyper logical outcome here because we've talked about, well, I'll just say it this way, the struggle that Kalani Jordan has seemingly had as North American champion. There have been a couple really bright spots in this title reign, but one would question, have there been so few that it no longer justifies the continuation of the reign? I don't know.
I don't know that it's necessarily anything against Kalani. I would say it would be more so an evolution for Wendy Choo, that it feels more natural. Like, if this is the direction that we're gonna go, let's put some gold on her, let's legitimize it, and let's give Kalani a chance to get a little bit more experience under her belt before putting a new title around it.
Well, and even when Kalani won the North American Championship, we were all surprised. I don't think there was a single one of us that even had her in probably the top 3 that would have walked away with that. I think most of us had her at number 6, honestly.
5 or 6.
Yeah. So that being said, it was a surprise. So there maybe is a little bit of an element here of, a little too fast, too soon. That being said, management clearly sees something in her, and there's a lot there. She has a lot of skill. The best match she's had to date was the one with Sol Ruka. And again, with that is always worth noting that they're close friends and they're both, gymnasts by training. So it was a really good combination of skill sets for them. But
they really work well together just because of how similar their styles are.
Right. But she's had a kind of a harsh go of it otherwise. So I could potentially see Wendy walking away with the championship for tonight. And I'm having a really hard time really putting down and saying what I think's going to do this tonight, but
I think there is still a potential that they leave the belt on Kalani, and give her a little bit more time with it. It's not that I think she's doing poorly. I think it's that she's not doing as well as, and I can't even say as good as they expected her to do.
Right.
I'm not a mind reader. It's just based on what we've talked about. So it may just be that she's not reaching our expectations, which that's not really fair to put on her either.
Right. And it's developmental. This is the whole thing. They're learning, they're growing. It's, they're, kind of becoming the wrestler that they will be in their main event career. Like I said, she's good. It's been a bumpy go, but I think I think I tend to lean her keeping that belt tonight too. I just feel like they probably don't think the experiment's over, and they want to maybe give her more time to develop this run. That being said, if they do for some reason go with Chu tonight, I think it speaks very loudly as to how they have viewed her title run so far.
Do we see Rosemary being part of this match? Like, was her appearance on NXT a one-off alignment with Wendy Chu, or do you think this is the start of something?
My gut is telling me it was probably just a one-off. But, like, what I want is for her to have more time on NXT. I'd love for Rosemary to have more time on NXT proper, with or without Wendy Chu.
But if she does come out with Wendy, I'm going to say that that's a sign they're going to put the title on Wendy.
Okay. All right. That's fair, too. But as far as official predictions as to who walks out the North American champion today.
See, that's
it's hard. This is a really hard one. Like I said, I'm leaning Kalani just because I feel like management, they believe in Kalani Jordan.
We'll be clapping later. I was also thinking of clapping, but I'm just like, no, that's the main event. We can't go tripping on.
Don't want to go tripping
on someone else's gimmick. I think as far as my official prediction, I think I'm gonna go contrarian on this one. Wendy either way.
All right, so if I'm going to put it down official, so I'm just keeping kind of my notes straight here. I got Wendy for CJ there.
So far this is our first disagreement as far as running this card down.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my prediction on Kalani. I'm going to stick with Kalani on this. Like I said, I think that they're going to try it a little bit longer with her. And part of this, and we're going to talk about Roxanne Perez here shortly, but part of my reasoning on this is that I think Roxanne Perez is destined to drop the NXT Women's Championship to probably Julia. We've been thinking that for a long time. So that means that when Cora Jade comes back, she's not going to have that spot. She's not going to be able to plug straight back into the women's title picture, the world title picture. So I think if they're going to have Kalani drop that bell, I can see them doing someone more along the lines of a Cora Jade when she comes back. So that's part of my reasoning here for going with Kalani, is that I think that they might want to hold off a little bit, and but again, I don't know what their long-term planning is, obviously, but I know the core is about ready to be back, though. So
yeah, getting to be about that time. I'll talk more about Cora Jade and my prediction for the NXT Women's title match later.
Right on. All right, so we are going to go from one North American championship to another North American championship. The ruler, Obafemi, taking on the Don of NXT, Tony D'Angelo. CJ, how do you see this one going out tonight?
I mean, I just have to be frank, Obafemi. The reign will continue. As much as I would love to see the Don hold the North American title, it's not going to be at the expense of Obafemi.
Nope, absolutely not. I think it's going to be a good match. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a pretty, meat slapping kind of event. But no, there's no chance that Tony D'Angelo walks out with that championship tonight. You'd have a better chance of him putting pineapple on a pizza, quite frankly.
And that would honestly cause me to stop watching NXT. I think if they just had Tony go out on a Tuesday night and just say, "Hey, oh, whoa, pineapple on pizza, give it to me right now," that would be.
If he goes out there and breaks spaghetti, he would. There's a lot of things that are more likely than him winning that championship. Pineapple and pizza for him, breaking spaghetti, all more likely. Disrespecting his grandmother. He's not going to do
all the Italian stereotypes.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
He'll stop being the Don before he wins the NXT, the North American title.
Exactly. He will dine at the Olive Garden before He wins.
At that shitty corner booth on the other side of the restaurant where nobody who's anybody goes to.
It's a special room. I love how they refer to it as a room multiple times. It's like it's a booth. It ain't a room. Like there are other people in that dining area. I see them back there.
I hear the piped in restaurant noises that they include while filming in that office space.
Oh God! All right, but yeah, so that was a pretty, I think, foregone conclusion there that Obafemi walks out with that belt. But that is going to take us into the NXT Women's Championship. Roxanne Perez, Tuesday Night Roxy, defending her championship against Jada Parker. Really, really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a fantastic match. But much like we just said with Oba and the Dawn, I don't think there is very much chance at all that Jada Parker wins this championship. It's Roxy's night still.
I also agree, but not for the reasons that you specified. I think that Julia is destined for something outside the main title picture. I think that if they want to build her up for this audience, that would be the better option. Because if you bring her into NXT, have her win the title right away, it not that I want to avoid another Asuka situation, but I want to avoid another Asuka situation for someone coming into the company. I think we've talked at length about how good the women's roster is, and I think it would be a big slap in the face, especially if we're looking at it from the model of work rate / high developmental hybrid that we've got. Bringing in someone like Julia to dominate the title picture, I can see that being a bigger blow to morale for the women that have been putting in the work all year. And you mentioned Cora Jade earlier. I think that there's opportunity for an awesome story to tell. Like when we talk about the segment from this past Tuesday, the Jada Parker interview that Roxanne interrupted. We see Jada talking to someone off screen, and of course we think it's Julia, but I think that there's a lot deeper personal connection for that to have been the returning Cora Jade. And if they prop Cora up as a face again to go against Roxy's heel, I think that is a great story. Like it parallels to me, like the closest parallel I can think of on the main roster would be Roman versus Seth at the Royal Rumble a couple years ago. There's just such unresolved personal issues here, and if you look at it from like a historical thing, with Cora being the one that turned on Roxy, and now they've swapped alignment, so I think that's definitely more interesting here.
And NXT really does like to do the that kind of yin-yang storytelling, where they kind of play it from both angles, if sometimes for no other reason than to give, both parties the opportunity to play both sides of that. But it does fit rather neatly, story-wise.
But of course, this is also assuming that Cora Jade is ready to come back. There's a good chance that she's not, but if she is, I think slotting her into that title picture against Cora Jade or against Roxanne would be my prediction. So either way, Jada Parker isn't gonna win. Maybe she will shift back to the North American title picture if Wendy does win.
Yeah, possibly. regardless, I think it's going to be a great match. And, I'm sure that they will come at it from an angle of what a great showing Jada has. And, really, really play that, in defeat, you can still look really good. And I think she's going to come out looking fantastic out of this match, even though she won't be winning. But yeah, it's Roxy all the way tonight.
Yeah, I agree.
And that will take us into tonight's main event. Special guest referee Trick Williams overseeing All Ego Ethan Page, your NXT champion, against TNA's Joe Hendry. CJ, do you believe that Joe Hendry will win the NXT championship tonight in Denver, Colorado?
You ask me questions that just pain my soul. No, I don't think that Joe Hendry is going to win the title. I believe in Joe Hendry, but I don't believe that he will be raising the NXT championship above his head tonight. I think there's more to this story that we haven't seen yet, but I think Paige is going to wind up retaining. Even with the special referee, I think Trick's going to get bumped off at some point, and they bring in just a regular referee to count the final pin.
Yep. So do you see Trick's involvement playing into the finish tonight?
In a way. Like, I think that's basically how he's going to wind up getting bumped off the match is a disagreement with Ethan Page and then mistiming, and Page is going to get out of the way of one of Joe Hendry's offensive maneuvers, and that's what's going to take him out of the match. And then another referee comes in while they're dealing with the fallout, and 1, 2, 3, still your champion, Ethan Page.
Yeah. I sadly have to agree that it's not Hendry's night to win gold. Ethan Page will continue as your NXT champion. Not really sure how or when I see that coming to an end, but it won't be from Joe Hendry tonight. I would be genuinely surprised if they went the route of Joe Hendry winning this evening. I mean, genuinely surprised and honestly kind of elated. I wouldn't even be upset about that. But I just don't see it happen.
No, I would definitely be, waving my hands from side to side saying I believe in Joe Hendry if he won the title, but I don't see that happening tonight.
No, I have to agree. It's going to be a good match. Looking forward to it. I think that this is definitely, this is true of most NXT showings, but I think that this is a match that WWE upper management is definitely going to have their eyes pretty close to.
Oh, 100%. For both guys' sakes, yes, they want the NXT NA partnership to go well, and yes, Joe Hendry has been generating quite a lot of buzz as it results to that, but Ethan Page being I would say, the biggest NXT signing from AEW to make the jump so far. Not even just because he won the title right away, but because the impact that he made with his debut. It was very much talked about. And even if he didn't win the title, he would still be in the conversation.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And again, I'm a little biased, and I've been a Ethan Page guy for a long time, been a fan of his for years and years. So, he's definitely, in my mind, the biggest signing to jump from AEW to there. And it's sorry, Sean Spears.
Sorry, Lexus King.
Yeah. Obviously, an argument. We're talking strictly NXT here, guys, just so you understand. Obviously, we are not saying that Ethan Page was a bigger signing than Cody Rhodes. We're not implying that. We're talking strictly NXT here.
Yes. That's why I made sure.
I was already hearing the fucking internet start to spin in circles on that. Oh, CJ,
what do you mean Jade Cargill isn't the biggest signing?
Right, flipping hell. The internet, y'all. But yeah, so that is our predictions there on NXT No Mercy for tonight. Looking forward to the show this evening. It's going to be a good time. But hey,
I could say the same.
Well, CJ, you'll be with us in spirit.
True.
But unfortunately, it's not there live tonight. But guys, before we do get rolling here, I do want to remind everyone watching that we here at Dirt Sheet Radio, we don't just cover NXT and NXT Level Up. That'd be really weird if we were solely dedicated to that. I mean, I'd do it. I'd be there. But that's not what we're all about. We're about wrestling across the board. Professional wrestling never stops. And at Dirt Sheet Radio, we are always on, and we are always here live after shows, breaking everything down for you guys. We are here every single Monday night breaking down Raw. We are here every Tuesday for NXT. We're here Wednesday nights for Dynamite, Thursday nights for TNA Impact, and of course Fridays for Friday Night SmackDown. And we're also here for PLEs. There was live coverage yesterday, fantastic live coverage of Bash Berlin after the show yesterday with the DSR crew. But also, if you're up really, really late Wednesday nights and you want to check out the Dirt Sheet Radio flagship podcast, that's when they go live. Super duper late. After Dynamite, even. Like, it's late, guys. But if you're not a night owl, you got to be up early in the morning. Do what I do. Just check it out Thursday mornings when it is, of course, posted. And also on Sundays, you're watching it right now, guys. But it is CJ and Tyler's Level Up Adventure, where obviously, you know what we're doing. We're breaking down NXT Level Up and always doing some deep dives into NXT topics. And also on Sundays, the 3NT podcast, the crispest graphic in all of professional wrestling right there. The guys will be live every Sunday. They'll be live with us a little bit today, so check that out. And like I said earlier, we will be live tonight after the No Mercy PLE. But CJ, sadly, will not be with us tonight. But where can the folks find you next, and where will they see you again, CJ?
Oh, I'll be here tomorrow night recapping Raw. Unfortunately, not for much longer. My job kind of has me working Monday nights, so I'll jump in when I can, but otherwise it's just Tuesdays for NXT, Fridays for SmackDown, Sundays for Level Up, and occasionally PLEs wherever I can fit them in. Right on. And where on the social media, CJ? Where can they find you there? At CJ Carter 22 on Twitter, and that's it.
Right on. Excellent. And I am, of course, Tyler, the Pro Wrestling Hipster. You'll see me here doing Level Up Tuesday nights for NXT. Typically, I am on for Raw, but there's just a lot going on right now, so I'm unfortunately going to probably miss the next couple weeks for Raw. I know. I'm sorry, guys. It's like I said earlier. Sometimes life be lifing, yo. That's how it is. But as far as the socials, I am on the Instagram and on the Twitter at PW Hipster. I don't do a whole lot on Twitter and Instagram. There's more spooky things. But for professional wrestling, the Pro Wrestling Hipster over on Facebook is where you're going to find me doing stuff like this and making memes that are sometimes well received and sometimes not. It's just life, though, guys. And I will be tonight live for No Mercy after the event this evening. Looking forward to that. And then we will hope that you join us live tonight. I want to thank you guys for spending part of your Sunday afternoon with us. If you're doing it live and whenever you're watching us on demand, we appreciate that. And we will be back live tonight, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Enjoy.